What's going on, guys? My name is Trevor. Welcome back to the channel. We made it to the last week of 2023, and it's been a fantastic year for movies. But before I give you my best, worst, disappointing, today I'm sharing with you my most surprising movies of the entire year. Movies I went in not expecting much, and I got out so much more than I was hoping for. Let me know your list down below in the comment section. What is your most surprising movie of the entire year? A couple of things before we go into this. I have not seen every movie of the year. I've seen 55, just about. Trying to get the number to 60 as we round out the end of this year. So some of your movies you might want to include in this list, I have not seen. These are just my picks. Let's get started. And number 10 is going to be Paint. This is starring Owen Wilson. Wow. And it's almost like a parody of Bob Ross, and Owen Wilson plays the character of Carl Nargle, and he just has this calm, cool exterior about him that's very funny, and it's about a painter who continues to paint the same thing every single day, and all of a sudden he has to kind of reinvent himself as an artist and as a person. I saw this at one of those Regal movie mysteries. They never play big hitter movies. This was one of the ones they played. My entire theater was laughing uncontrollably. I was smiling, having a decent time with it. I did not love this movie by any means, but I came out pretty surprised by it because it was a mystery, so I didn't know what I was seeing when watching it. That definitely worked to its factor, but also, I hadn't really heard anything about this movie. I didn't even know Owen Wilson was playing Bob Ross throughout this. I thought it was funny, I thought it was charming, so it made the list. At number 9 is one of the better horror movies of the year. This is Thanksgiving, my favorite slasher of 2023. This surprised me a lot because I didn't hear a lot about it. It was just another one of those holiday horrors, and when you hear of those holiday horror movies, you think like The Grinch, so you're not expecting a whole lot with these kind of themed horror movies. This one worked because it played like a slasher movie, and it was a ton of fun. John Carver is a menacing killer, and they used technology so well throughout this film. Everyone's posting TikToks and Instagrams and Facebooks, and everyone's just trying to go viral some way. The cast, not the most likable, but that's okay. They have characters you can easily root for, characters you can easily hate, and the kills, this is the Eli Roth movie, and he is just the king of goriness, because this is one of the more gory movies that I've seen. A very pleasant surprise. I like a good slasher movie, and this hit all those buttons for me. At number 8 is another horror movie. This is Five Nights at Freddy's. I watched this with my wife. Neither of us were really excited for it. We were just interested to see what this is going to be about. We never played the games. We had no idea what to expect with this film. And we both had such a fun time with this one. Now, there is some gripes and some things I didn't enjoy, and the more I talked about this with people who actually played the games, it made me kind of, but this going into it had a lot of hype around it, and I was interested to see what this video game adaptation that I knew nothing about was going to bring to the screen. It was enjoyable. The animatronics looked great, and the horror and intense aspects throughout the film really what keeps you on the edge. It is a little bit predictable, it is a little bit formulaic, and the more I read about this movie after I watched it, the more I actually enjoyed it. I didn't expect a lot with this one, and I came out pleasantly surprised because how good the acting was, how good the story was, how good the animatronics looked, and how they set it up for possibly a sequel. I'm here for it. At number 7 is You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah. This is Adam Sandler movie starring the Sandler family, and his youngest daughter is the actual star of this entire movie, and it was so fun to see. I'm a diehard Sandman fan, and after seeing this movie, I'm a diehard Sandler family fan, because this movie for kids who are actual kids and they aren't actors, and this is their first big movie, they do a great job. Adam Sandler continues to play himself, and I'll never get tired of it. I'm just a big fan of this guy, and his kids, they won me over through this movie. They made me laugh. A little bit cheesy at times, but by the end of it, it might even pull on your heartstrings just a little bit. It's following these kids in high school trying to embrace who they are in the Jewish community, and they're getting ready for the biggest day of their lives, which is their bat mitzvah, and it is so funny. It's crazy to kind of dive into how personal this story really feels to the Sandler family. Adam Sandler and his daughter, they have a whole screaming match, and that felt real. It felt like you actually had seen this, a teenage daughter and her dad yelling at each other. It's funny, it's silly, it has all those little moments in it. This was on Netflix, did not expect anything from it, and I came out laughing my butt off. At number 6 is Anyone But You. Now, I had anticipation for this movie. I was really looking forward to seeing this one, but I did not expect to enjoy it as much as I did. I love Glenn Powell. I'm a Glenn Powell stan. Sydney Sweeney is really starting to come into her own. She's great in Euphoria. Now she's coming into this. It's one of those romantic comedies that I always get one every year that is a little bit formulaic, but how is it going to make you feel when you come out of it? When you go into romantic comedies, you got to kind of take off the critique hat. You got to go in just to enjoy them for what they are, because it is a romantic comedy. and Anyone But You gave me one of the best romantic comedies of the decade of 2020, 2021, 22, and now 23. I would say Anyone But You is my favorite romantic comedy of the decade. At number 5 is The Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I was nervous going into this one. I didn't know what to expect because I love the Hunger Games franchise so much, so I went into this one just thinking, I don't know what we're going to get. Is this a story about Coriolanus Snow? I'm not going to enjoy it. Color Me Shocked. This is one of my favorite movies of the year because this movie just hits all those beats that you were looking for in the Hunger Games universe, and they do something so different. They make you like President Snow before he's a dickhead, before he's a douchebag, before he becomes the actual mean President Snow. You fall in love with this young version of him, a young, hungry guy from humble beginnings, and slowly becoming up his way throughout the entire capital. This movie is emotional. I mean, it hits you in the feels. The Hunger Games themselves are brutal, and Rachel Zegler, I love this gal. I love her in every movie she is. She's a great actress, and she kills it as Lucy Graybeard, putting it in as one of the best characters in the Hunger Games universe. And the more I think about it, the more I absolutely love it. At number 4 is Gran Turismo. I was thinking this is going to be okay at best. Had some anticipation for it. I was excited for it, but I was like, there's no way it's going to be all that good. And I rewatched this one the other day, and it solidifies itself as one of the bigger surprises of the year because, again, it's one of those movies the trailers didn't wow me. I was excited to see the story. I grew up playing Gran Turismo. That's why I was interested in going to watch this movie. But it didn't really hit me that it was going to actually be this good. It was going to be that dramatic story we were hoping for. I thought it was going to be more of a video game type kind of remake that was it's just a video game movie. This is a full-on racing movie based on a true story. It straps you in the front seat of this cars like a rocket, and it takes off nonstop. David Harbour absolutely crushes. One of my favorite working actors today. This movie has those emotional moments, and it has those moments at the end where you're just screaming and chanting. You feel like you're there. You get chills throughout the entire thing. The acting is great. The score is great. The soundtrack is amazing. Everything about this movie just works. I'm a diehard fan of movies based on a true story, and this is easily one of the best ones of the year. At number 3, Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. I love the fantasy genre. I'm a big fan of Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, so coming into this one, I was expecting just a good, fun, family-friendly fantasy movie, and dude, this movie rocks. It's hilarious. It's action-packed. I've never played Dungeons & Dragons, but watching this movie made me feel like I had. And if I had watched Dungeons & Dragons, my theater was filled to the brim with people who were dressed up and they had all played Dungeons & Dragons, and these people were loving it. It was so fun. Chris Pine is absolutely hilarious. This movie just hits every single beat you're really looking for in this fantasy, family-friendly movie. Characters are awesome. The dialogue is hilarious. The villain, whatever, it's not really about that. It's about the story. It's about the camaraderie with these characters moving step by step throughout this journey that they go on, and it's just a ton of fun. I left the theater thinking this is one of the best movies I've seen. It came out back in March, but at the time of March, this was one of my favorite movies of the year. At number 2 is Transformers: Rise of the Beast. Some of us lost hope in the Transformers universe long ago, and some of us, after seeing this movie, still don't have the hope. For me, this gave me everything as a kid I wanted in a Transformer movie. I just like big robots that explode things and go rawr, that's me. And this movie gave me all of that. Pete Davidson, he's just the best. He's so freaking funny, and he plays Mirage. He's the funniest Autobot we've ever seen. He's one of the funniest characters in a movie I've ever seen. Anthony Ramos crushes it in this movie. He really just dives into the dorky wackiness of this world, and it's cheesy at the end. I ain't gonna lie, that third act, it's a little all over the place. CGI, not that great, but I was still having fun. It was epic. I got chills, and all of a sudden I was like, man, it's how this is ending. Am I gonna cry over an Autobot right now? But at number 1 is easily the best horror movie of the entire year. It's Talk to Me. This is from the Rocket Brothers from the YouTube channel, who actually made a feature-length film. If you listen to the Joe Rogan podcast, these guys explain how they made the movie. It's a very interesting listen if you haven't checked it out yet. These two guys are, first off, hilarious YouTubers. If you haven't seen their stuff, they're great. They're hilarious. And the fact that they made one of the scariest, trippiest, and gruesome horror movies there is just absurd, because this movie and a horror, because when I go in a horror movie, I expect to come out have felt something. I want to be kind of scared going to bed that night. And this movie made me feel scared going to bed that night. There's several things throughout it that I think of that even give me the heebie-jeebies to this day. The score is great. It's trending all over TikTok and Instagram right now. The way they use montages throughout this and social media just shows the effect that social media really has, but it makes it feel that much more real. And when it goes into these possessions, when you're talking to the hand, my goodness, is it absolutely terrifying. The way this movie ended, it ended open-ended, but I thought it was great. A lot of people, not the biggest fans. For me, I had chills. My jaw kind of dropped. Like, that was fantastic. And it's the most surprising movie of the entire year for me. That's going to do it for my picks for the most surprising movies of the year. The movies I wasn't expecting a lot, but I got so much more than I actually wanted. Let me know your picks down below in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for watching and for being here. So much content coming over the next couple days. Hit the like button, subscribe button, notification bell for me, and I'll see you guys in the next one.